55 people, including cabinet ministers and government workers, allegedly involved in looting $9 billion from Nigeria's coffers.
Public Accounts Committee of Parliament sitting abruptly suspended to Wednesday after Bank of Ghana officials came unprepared.
And 3 Burkina Faso attackers at large.
Welcome to the studios of GBC24 and GTV. It's time to update you on events. I'm Akushika Akwe.
And I'm Conrad Kakraba. Clement Sam is our signer for today.
In our first story, Nigeria's Senate announced 20 nominees for the cabinet of President Muhammadu Buhari on Tuesday, representing all regions of this West African nation. I beg your pardon. 55 people, including former governors, cabinet ministers and government workers, stole $9 billion from Nigeria's treasury. That is according to the information minister. Lai Mohammed made the allegations as he kicked off a national sensitization campaign appealing to Nigerians to join the fight against corruption that is crippling what should be a rich nation with Africa's biggest economies, population and oil production. The looted billions of dollars could have built 36 hospitals or educated 4,000 children through university. The money was stolen between 2006 and 2013.
Mohammed did not identify the 55 accused, but said bankers and businessmen are among them. The looted funds include $2.1 billion meant to buy weapons to fight Boko Haram's Islamic uprising that has killed some 20,000 people. General Buhari won his country's last presidential election, promising to halt corruption and the insurgency. 3 different courts have granted bail to the former National Security Advisor, Sambo Dasuki, who is accused of being instrumental in the theft of the $2.1 billion. Mr. Buhari has said he will not allow Dasuki out of detention.
And in the continuing volatility on the global oil market, Brent crude oil prices rebounded about 3% on Tuesday from 12-year lows after data showed Chinese oil demand likely hit a record high in 2015. But the recovery is not expected to last amid warnings that the market would stay oversupplied this year.
The International Energy Agency, which advises industrialized countries on energy policy, has said the global oil oversupply is set to worsen with the return of Iranian barrels to the market. Iran has said it could increase oil output by 500,000 barrels per day and issued an order to start the ramp up on Monday, but the IEA estimates a more measured rise of about 300,000 barrels per day. GBC24 has learned that health officials in Techiman have intensified the monitoring and surveillance process in the area following the death of 6 people from meningitis. To date, 21 cases of meningitis have been recorded in the Bunahafo region since the beginning of the year. The disease, we are told, has also been recorded in the northern region. Earlier in the day, our Bunahafo regional correspondent, John Sam Arthur, gave details of the extent of the outbreak and measures to contain the disease.
The cases just keep going up. Just last week, it was 38 cases, and then between yesterday and now, it has moved from 70 to 80. When the case happened in Tai, Blue Honey was the worst affected with almost 90% of the cases. And it slowed down because there were about 6 days of no new cases. But then suddenly, it spread to other districts, probably because one case was exported to the Winchi Methodist Hospital. So it's getting murkier. But last Friday, the Deputy Minister for Health was in town with more logistics, drugs and for the fight. So we're just hoping that with a supply of more logistics, and antibiotics are one of the main drugs used in this fight, and more were supplied until the visit of the Deputy Health Minister. So we're just hoping that that will begin to bite, and then we'll see a reduction in new cases.
John Mahama has appointed Mr. Kenneth Ujango a management and integrated rural development specialist as Deputy Chief of Staff in charge of operations at the Flagstaff House. In a statement signed by the Chief of Staff, Mr. Julius Debra, Agriculture Minister Mr. Fifi Kwete has been reassigned as Minister for Transport, while Alhaji Mohammed Muniru Limuna is now the new Minister for Food and Agriculture. Mr. Makoyongo, who until now was the Minister for the Interior, has been reassigned to the presidency as a Minister of State.
The statement further announces the nomination of the following Ministers of State: Mr. Prosper Douglas Bani, Minister-designate for the Interior; Neil Ante Vanderpoy, Minister-designate for Youth and Sports; Mr. John Alexander Akon, Minister-designate for the Ashanti Region; Kweku Ricketts-Hagan, Minister-designate for the Central Region. Others are Madam Mavis Ama-Frimpong, Minister-designate for the Eastern Region; Abdallah Abubakar, Minister-designate for the Northern Region; MP for Bongo constituency, Mr. Albert Abongo, Minister-designate for the Upper East Region. The following have also been nominated as Deputy Ministers of State: Andy Osei Okra, Deputy Minister-designate for the Ashanti Region; Robert Baba Kugana Blem, Deputy Minister-designate for the Upper East Region. According to the Chief of Staff, Mr. Julius Debra, the changes are ongoing, and so there will be further announcements in the course of the period.
President John Mahama is one of the few sitting presidents to have been appointed to a substantive post in the United Nations. He is to be a co-chairman of the UN panel to oversee the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs). The SDGs, which are more ambitious in objectives, succeed the Millennium Development Goals. And by this appointment, President John Mahama will champion the international quest to achieve comprehensive development in the developing world. Our correspondent Napoleon Atukito takes a look at some of Mr. Mahama's previous engagements at the UN.
Newly appointed co-chair of UN High-Level Panel on the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, President John Mahama of Ghana is very conversant with the United Nations. President Mahama has been on the UN floor at least on 5 occasions. His maiden being in 2011 when he addressed the Assembly's high-level meeting on HIV/AIDS while he was a Vice President of the Republic of Ghana. The Ghanaian leader was also on the panel of the World Food Programme WFP, also in Rome. He is well remembered at the WFP as Ghana offloaded food surplus to the program for distribution in Niger at the time the Sahelian nation was on the brink of famine in 2011.
The General Assembly resolution that established the WFP in 1961 has guided my knowledge and memories of the work of the World Food Programme as a young student, as a development practitioner, and subsequently as a politician.
On the sidelines of the 2014 UN General Assembly meeting, President John Mahama was on a panel discussion held at the Ford Foundation with other heads of state and the Director General of the ILO. The event was moderated by CNN's Richard Quest.
In the second MDG, we must target and focus on job creation. For us in Africa particularly, it's the fastest growing continent. And that's an advantage because it gives us more labor if it's skilled, but it's also a time bomb if you have a lot of young people coming out of school who cannot find work, then the devil will find work for idle hands.
When international response to the Ebola pandemic in West Africa in 2014 was coming slower than expected, President John Mahama took the bull by the horns. Thus, he championed the campaign and offered Ghana as coordination center against the disease. By the time the calendar year of 2014 will be over, the Secretary General himself had come to Ghana to commend President Mahama for his invaluable role.
I thank you for your continued support, without which much of the response effort would not be possible. I trust I can continue to count on your support over the long term in facilitating the recovery of the region.
The President of Ghana, the Prime Minister of Norway, and the German Chancellor are the eminent members of the UN Crisis Response Panel, called at the instance of Ghana to devise early warning systems, and mobilize action against diseases in the magnitude of Ebola. The post-2015 development agenda, the Sustainable Development Goals SDGs, places Ghana at the center as a reference and as a coordinator through the president, whose mantra is transformation. Napoleon Atukitu reporting.
The Public Accounts Committee of Parliament on Tuesday abruptly suspended to Wednesday after officials of the Bank of Ghana told the committee they were not prepared for the sitting because the central bank was not privy to the information being discussed by the committee. According to the committee chairman, Mr. Kwikwajuman Menu, the Bank of Ghana was notified of the sitting. He, however, advised all heads of departments and agencies to take the work of the committee serious and honor invitations in the interest of the public.
It was day 2 of the Public Accounts Committee sitting. The Ministry of Finance, the Ghana Revenue Authority, as well as the Bank of Ghana were state agencies scheduled to appear before the committee this time to answer questions relating to how they implemented recommendations made in the Auditor General's report from 2011 to 2013. As at 10 a.m., representatives of the Ministry of Finance and the Ghana Revenue Authority were already seated. The Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, led by 8th Commissioner General, Mr. George Blankson, had already started answering questions on how the GRA dealt with the issue of dishonored checks.
When a check is dishonored, we ensure that that particular taxpayer will not have his or her check accepted by the GRA office anymore. We will only insist on payment in cash or by banker's draft. So this ensures that the taxpayer is put on his toes.
Representatives of the Bank of Ghana, led by its Assistant Director of the Banking Department, Mr. Leslie Akun, was asked to comment on the issue of checks that were not presented during the year under review. He told members of the committee that his outfit was not privy to the issues being discussed.
The letter said, the committee is by this letter inviting the Honourable Minister for Finance, the Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority, the Controller and Accountant General, the Chief Statistician of the Ghana Statistical Service, officials of Bank of Ghana, and the technical team of the Ministry of Finance to his public sittings on the above stated dates to assist in his deliberations. Mr. Chairman, the operative phrase is officials from the Bank of Ghana. And I'm sure if you had requested the governor to be here personally, I think probably he would have been here.
We are demanding that the governor should be here. And I said at least the deputy governor. Officials from the bank should have prepared. Honestly, if they had come prepared, we would have taken them as officials of the bank.
Your technical men will come and assist. And you sit in there if you have difficulties, you defer the questions. So let's make it very, very clear. He's not saying that they shouldn't come. That is why sometimes you have the whole Minister of Finance coming with the technical people. Because the institution that you head, you should be there. And your technical men will come and assist. If there's a question that you cannot answer personally, then you ask somebody to do so. So please, we shouldn't change the rules here.
The chairman was not happy about the response, adjourned the meeting to Wednesday for the Bank of Ghana to prepare better and reappear. The committee is looking into audited accounts of ministries, departments and agencies regarding the period between 2011 and 2013 and the failure by Treasury offices to transfer revenue allocations to the Consolidated Fund.
Let's go to the northern region now. Vice President Kwesi Arthur is championing more devolution of power from central government to the ordinary Ghanaian. He has therefore tasked metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives to allow the people to determine priorities in developing infrastructure. Mr. Arthur believes this move will ensure that the people own the projects and put them to good use. He gave the directive at a meeting in Tamale with officials of MMDCEs from the 3 regions of the north.
It is a norm to find government functionaries like metropolitan, municipal and district assembly leaders from across the country meeting to strategize on how to improve on development. But the group of some 50 local level chief executives from the 3 regions of the north came together at the behest of the head of local government service, Dr. Callistus Mahama, to tackle specific development challenges that are common to a contiguous zone. The Northern Regional Minister Alhaji Lemuna Muniru catalogued a number of successes chalked in the last 3 years at various local assemblies in the region.
It occupies over 1/3 of the total mass of this nation. And you can see the vastness. That is why I always tell people that the challenges in Northern region is proportionate to its size, because there are a lot of challenges when you sit here. But nevertheless, it's a very peaceful region. Very, very peaceful. The impressions you get are not what you get here. When you come home, we are very hospitable people and you enjoy it.
Irrespective of the many infrastructural developments the government prides itself with, Vice President Kwesi Mr. Arthur believes there is more room for improvement. His interest was to get the ordinary Ghanaian to own the projects and maximize its use. This, he says, could only be achieved if the beneficiary Ghanaian is allowed to decide which project is his or her priority. And this is in line with the spirit and letter of the local governance laws. Ntobi Binimto, GBC24, Tamale.
Back in Accra, the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection has increased the number of beneficiary households under the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty Program, LEAP, from 71,936 to 146,074. At a media briefing, the program's manager, Mr. Jigbodi Agbeponu, said payments will start from the 25th to the 29th of this month.
In line with its objective to alleviate poverty and enhance livelihood, the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty Program LEAP has since its inception in 2008 made 39 payment cycles as at November last year. The amount of money disbursed was 48 Ghana cedis per beneficiary. 2 beneficiaries were entitled to 60 Ghana cedis. 3 beneficiaries received 72 Ghana cedis, and 4 beneficiaries and above received 90 Ghana cedis. In its 40th cycle payment, the monies have been increased to 64 Ghana cedis per beneficiary, 76 Ghana cedis to 2, 88 Ghana cedis to 3, 4 and more beneficiaries will receive 106 Ghana cedis every 2 months. The ministry has contracted the Ghana Interbank Payment Settlement System GIPS to roll out e-payment mechanism to all LEAP beneficiaries in the country. This is expected to cover all LEAP payment districts by March 2016. Mr. Jigbodi Kofi Agbekonu, the LEAP program manager, said the GIPS e-payment mechanism will use the facial, photograph and the biometric fingerprint as authentication to certify beneficiaries before cash grants are delivered to them.
We are now using tablets to collect this data. The questionnaires have been digitized. So now once you collect the data with a tablet, it is transmitted over the network into the system and you do your ranking. So we have eliminated the cost of data entry. We have shortened the time of all that. So this is the process we go through to get eligible beneficiaries into the system.
250,000 beneficiary households are expected to be covered by December 2016. In line with this objective, the ministry has commenced procedures to register more beneficiaries in 50 districts across the country.
A fuel tanker has tipped over, causing its load of diesel to spill over at Angnaga Junction in Kumasi. The tanker, which was traveling from Accra to Kumasi, tipped over when the driver attempted to negotiate the curve to the airport roundabout, but developed a brake failure and fell on a stationary urban passenger bus. The injured were quickly rushed to the hospital for treatment. Personnel of the Ghana Fire Service arrived at the spot to ensure security, while the police also controlled traffic. 2 young men who were caught stealing the spilling fuel were apprehended by the armed policemen on duty, led by the Zongo District Police Commander Superintendent Adani Nyamiche Ameyao. When GBC24 got to the scene, the area had been cordoned off to allow the fire service personnel to work without interruption. The Deputy Regional Fire Officer, Mr. Gadriel Ebunya, said his office was informed around 5 a.m. that a fuel tanker had fallen on one side of the road, causing the fuel to spill over. He said he quickly mobilized his men to the scene to fight it. The officer was happy that there was no casualty. He cautioned drivers, especially heavy-duty vehicles, to drive with extra care at the Angloga junction to avoid accidents. This is an area prone to motor accidents due to the nature of that intersection.
When things happen like this, anything can happen. You see, so we are cautioning the drivers and even everybody that when something happens like this, they should give way. Don't come close.
The Zongo District Police Commander, Superintendent Adani Nyamiche, was concerned about congestion at the Angloga Junction. According to him, all the taxi ranks around and business activities around the intersection posed danger to traffic and human life and must therefore be removed immediately. This is News Hour on GBC24 and GTV. We'll be back with business news.
Hello, good evening, and many thanks for joining us. This is the business segment of the news. I am Dorothy Ajimine. The Cashew Industry Association of Ghana has introduced a 10-year development plan to improve Ghana's foreign exchange earnings by $500 million annually. That amount can be earned if value is added to 90% of the cashew produced in the country. The plan seeks to create a credit scheme for farmers, warehouse facilities in the cashew growing areas, mass spraying exercise and value addition to the raw cashew before being exported.
The demand for cashew nuts continues to rise in all major markets across the world. While raw nuts production in Ghana continues to rise through a natural rate of increase, this is not adequate to meet the 10% yearly increase in global demand for raw nuts. Ghana produces about 50,000 metric tons annually, but she has an installed capacity of 62,000 metric tons, thus compelling the country to rely on import from other West African countries to fill the gap. This brings to the fore the need to scale up cashew production to meet both domestic and international growing demand. However, lack of financial support for farmers, lack of mass spraying exercise, inadequate warehouse facilities in the cashew growing areas, among others, have contributed to Ghana's inability to take advantage of the demand for the commodity. To help address this shortfall, the Cashew Industry Association of Ghana have come up with a 10-year development plan to inject a new lease of life into the industry. The president of the association, Mr. Winfred Osewusu, said if the plan receives the right support from policymakers, cashew will be a game changer for the Ghanaian economy.
We believe in our association that if government gives us support and backs a 10-year development plan that we are going to talk about today, we can increase our production from 50,000 to 500,000. And if we are doing 200,000 metric tons, and we are doing 200,000 metric tons, and we are even processing just 80 to 90% of it, this country can be raking in about $500 million US every year from cashew. These are the things that we need to do so that our city can be strong.
The vice president of Industries, Madam Fatima Mohammed, urged the government to support the sector financially because it is a viable venture. The Minister for Trade and Industry, Mr. Ekospio Gabra, urged the association to streamline the operations of its members.
It's nice to stand here and talk about the wonders of cashew because you are in that industry and maybe that's where you are focused. And it's absolutely correct to point out what Ghana could become as a major cashew grower and cashew processor and cashew exporter. But if you go by some of the experiences of people like myself who take 17 years to get a decent harvest or who take 1 month to 6 weeks to get payment, then there are other aspects of the industry that you want to look at so that we can convince ourselves that this is the best crop for almost all Ghanaians to grow.
The association says if the implementation of the 10-year development plan goes on as expected, it will create about 2,000 direct jobs and thousands on indirect jobs.
To bring quick and convenient banking services to its customers, Sahel Sahara Bank has opened a new branch at Tema. This is to offer its customers easy and timely access to their needs.
Sahel Sahara Bank is one of the leading financial institutions in the banking sector. It is an affiliate of the BSIC Group, which is a regional bank set up by the community of the Sahel-Saharan states. Its vision is to provide domestic and international banking services with a strategic focus on project financing and export development. Over the years, Sahel-Sahara has introduced a number of banking services in corporate, commercial, retail and trade finance banking services to bring effective and convenient banking services within the reach of Ghanaians. Sahel-Sahara has opened a second branch in Tema. The managing director of the bank, Mr. Adams Diop, said the Pan-African nature of the Sahel-Sahara Bank is necessary to help develop business in the sub-region. He said citing the second branch in Tema is strategic and considering business opportunities in the industrial city.
We are rendering all kind of banking services. We can open current account, saving account, investment, term deposit account, and we can also allocate loan. We are also a very modernized bank in terms of the services like ATM services, like internet banking, and we have a very rank of network in Ghana. We are opening today our 17th branch.
The Deputy Managing Director of the bank, Mr. Kojo Abuaji Debra, said the branch will improve on customer relations.
We also have commercial banking for the major distributors who pick products from our corporate customers. So we'll give them guarantees and asset finance. And aside that, we will also have the retail banking. And under the retail banking, we will have the workplace banking services. And then we will have our private banking. Now, private banking, we will intend to call it premier banking, where customers will have an exclusive banking services.
In 8 years of banking services, Sahel-Sahara Bank is poised to promote trade and investment in Africa.
The Ghana cedi continues to be relatively stable against the major trading currencies, despite the massive imports into the country for the Christmas festivities and the repatriation of foreign investors at the end of year. Some financial analysts attribute the positive trend to the measures put in place by the Bank of Ghana and the general slowdown in the economy.
In the last quarter of 2014, when Ghana contracted a $1.7 billion cocoa syndicated loan and a $1 billion euro bond, the cedi recorded some stability, lasting through the Christmas period, but took a nosedive in the first quarter of 2015. The cedi hit a new low at the end of trading in May 2015, closing the month at 4 cedis to $1 on the interbank market, resulting in a year-to-date depreciation of 19.95%. Averagely, the cedi depreciated against the dollar by 0.20% and 1.07% on daily and monthly basis in May 2015 respectively. The local currency ended the month down by 11% against the euro at 4 cedis 36 pesos. The cedi lost 0.16% and 1.68% on average basis in May respectively against the pound to close at 6 cedis 10 pesos on the interbank market. The cedi once again gained value when in the last quarter of 2015, government secured another $1 billion euro bond and a cocoa syndicated loan of $1.7 billion. Despite the heavy imports that characterized the Christmas period, the cedi has been able to find its balance through to the beginning of 2016. On the interbank market, the dollar has traded at 3 cedis 79 pesos to the cedi for the past 3 months. The managing director of First Bank Financial Services, Samuel Esiedu, attributes the positive development to what he describes as good monetary policies introduced by the central bank.
There was a sharp fall with the cedi against the dollar in July, and with what happened, we noticed that a lot of people joined in, speculators who thought it was a chance also to cash in. And then we saw improvement in the cedi. And again, people were hit, especially speculators. So in part, that is giving us where we came from around July, August. And then there were some corrections. And so especially the last quarter, we saw stability, and in fact up to date there have been reasonable stability. It's also because Bank of Ghana on this occasion is keeping a very firm eye on the cedi, looking at how it will remain strong, and therefore it pumps in money as and when needed. So there's active role and tightening on the monetary side by Bank of Ghana.
He adds the slowdown witnessed during the festive season implies import was subdued. He predicts that although the cedi will see some depreciation in the month ahead, it will not be as steep as the second quarter of 2015.
The critical period is between now and March, by which time a lot of companies, especially foreign companies, would have seen how their financials are looking like, the bottom line, and might be repatriating potential profits. So a lot to be seen, but signs that we've seen so far seem to give some indication that even if it happens, it won't be as sharp as we saw in 2014.
The manager of Daula Forex Bureau, Robert Ashite Ama, also shares the thought of the First Bank boss.
There are so many factors responsible. It could be that we have reduced importation, and that is a plus, because this is what is going to push us so that we look at avenues within the economy whereby we can increase productivity. Because if the cost of importation is high, it discourages people from importation. In summary, I would say that the government has been able to balance monetary policy with fiscal policy.
The fate of the Ghana cedi in the short term is currently unpredictable. For most financial analysts, it is early days yet to talk about stability in the currency market. They say the discussion can be put into proper perspective after the cedi has traversed the first quarter of the year.
Come February 16, operators of small and medium enterprises, SMEs, will have the opportunity to meet financial institutions and policymakers to discuss measures to reduce to an affordable level the cost of doing business in the country. "19 days into the new year, commodities on the international market are trading on a positive note. Gold gained $17.60 to trade at $1,089.40. Cocoa gained $49 to trade at $2,906, and light crude gained 57 cents to trade at $29.99. Coming is the commodity board. Back to our earlier story, come February 16, operators of small and medium enterprises, SMEs, will have the opportunity to meet financial institutions and policymakers to discuss measures to reduce to an affordable level the cost of doing business in the country.
SMEs constitute over 90% of businesses registered in the country. The Ministry of Trade and Industry estimates that over 160,000 registered limited liability companies and over 350,000 are registered as sole enterprises. In September last year, a meeting identified high cost of financing and inadequate access to funds constituting some of the bottlenecks facing the development of the SMEs in the country. At the maiden launch of the SME Financing Fair 2016, the Minister in charge of Private Sector Development and PPP, Alhaji Rashid Pelpo, said the transformation agenda can succeed if the SME sector giving the supports it needs, hence the SME Fair.
This fair obviously presents an opportunity not only to examine how the cost of financing for SMEs can effectively be reduced, but how SMEs can benefit to the full from existing and future private and public support mechanisms existing in the country.
The Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry, Murtala Mohammed, said government will do what it can to help the private sector thrive and create jobs.
We have over 500,000 young people who graduate from our tertiary institutions each year, and almost all of them are looking up to government to provide the needed jobs. It's extremely difficult. So if we are able to support SMEs, help them grow, they can create the needed jobs for the teeming and unemployed youth in this country. Every country throughout the world, China is China today because the SMEs indeed was given special attention. The SMEs indeed actually grew to be able to engage people.
Despite the numerous financing opportunities available, the successful utilization of opportunities remain limited, and access to finance still remains a key constraint on SME growth and effectiveness. The Exim Bank is ready to serve as a measure to help boost the performance of SMEs due to various studies suggesting that it accounts 5% to 25% of the revenue banks. That's all in this package. We have more news ahead. Please do stay.
Health news brought to you by FPAC. FPAC blows your pain away. Prisoners at the Tamale Central Prison have appealed to the government to improve conditions for inmates. Currently, their daily feed-in fee is 1 cedi, 80 pesos, and their plea is one increase to 5 or 10 cedis a day. The appeal came during the free registration for inmates onto the NHIS.
The Tamale Central Female and Male Prison was established in 1914 to accommodate about 70 inmates. Today, there are about 300 inmates and the prison faces many challenges ranging from water to transportation when the inmate must visit the hospital. An inmate, Adam Bashiru, who read a speech on behalf of the inmates, expressed concern about the poor conditions in the prisons.
Tamale Central Prison has a peculiar problem. Dash vehicle for emergency health care, delivering especially when emergency strikes in the night. We will plead with your ladyship to help the Tamale Central Prison with a vehicle and drugs for its first aid center.
The Deputy Director of Prison Service, Mr. Robert Awulu Gutu, spoke about the challenges at the prisons.
The Tamale Male and Female Prison, in addition to the core functions, undertake educational programs and basic literacy. However, our challenge is availability of funds for procurement of materials for these laudable projects, which are meant to give skills to these people so that when they leave prison, they can live a law-abiding life. That's what is lacking.
The head of membership and regional operations of the NHIA, Mr. Ken Kusi, said so far 6,000 inmates of the Nsawam, Kofodia, Kumasi, and Kafoho and Navrungu prisons have been registered free of charge with the NHIS. The chairman of the Ghana Prisons Council, Dr. Stephen Wengam, commended the Ministry for Gender, Children and Social Protection for the initiative and prayed for the inmates. The sector minister, Nana Oyelitha, said the government will help to make the prisons more habitable. An inmate, Mr. Christopher John, who is in prison as a result of a case of defilement, showed off his music skills.
I thank God for bringing you my way, Mama.
5-year-old Benjamin Bedu has been diagnosed with a medical condition known as acute lymphoblastic leukemia. In order for doctors to treat this childhood cancer, he needs an amount of 10,000 Ghana cedis, which his family cannot afford.
According to Benjamin's mother, Faustina Akon, for the past 4 months, Benjamin has been complaining of a severe stomach ache. Benjamin was immediately sent to the hospital, but 4 days later, his stomach began to enlarge. After several tests were conducted, Benjamin was finally diagnosed with an acute lymphoblastic leukemia. This medical condition makes it difficult for Benjamin to attend to nature's call and also to walk. According to his mother, Faustinako, to treat Benjamin's case, doctors are asking for 10,000 Ghana cedis, and this, the 34-year-old trader cannot afford.
Ona mebe ne yale benti na mechi polo skoki temi nyina we fimensa nti me pa manfo chaw won hwe nyame n'enyim na won hwe mofre we njanka na won hu mobol na won bom yada ma me be obefimensa odre ni fampo amintumenda mezina tomodo na mimiemia no meja ne mu pe na oya ne yaw nti chise mimiemia na ma adechi.
Donations could be sent to the following bank account details: Ghana Commercial Bank, Idriso Branch, account name Yao Sapon, account number 612-101-1000-8709. Alternatively, a donor can also call 0243 236 740 or 0244 359 836 for any assistance.
Also in this package, 3 people involved in last week's Islamist attack in Burkina Faso are still at large. French Prime Minister Manuel Valls said the assault on a hotel in the capital Ouagadougou was claimed by Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb, Akim. The death toll has risen to 30 after a French-Moroccan photographer died from her injuries. The French Prime Minister told Parliament that 3 gunmen were killed in Friday's operation. Akim on Monday released their photos and names. 6 gunmen opened fire on unarmed patrons at the Cappuccino Cafe before taking refuge at the nearby Splendid Hotel, where they held several hostages. Both places were popular with UN workers and foreign residents. 3 were killed and 3 others were being sought. Among the 30 killed were 3 French nationals. Akim said the assault was carried out by the Al Mourabitan battalion led by Algerian jihadi Mokhtar Bel Mokhtar. We'll be back with sports.
Let's talk sports. This is in partnership with Lonat and Tornado Beaters. Ghana's 1965 Cup of Nations winning squad have received a check for 51,000 Ghana cedis. This is in fulfillment of a pledge made by the CEO of Prolux Company in Accra as part of their Golden Jubilee celebrations. The gesture by the CEO of the electrical appliance company Prolux Ghana, Mr. Prosper Appiah, was in fulfillment of a promise made to Ghana's 1965 AFCON winning squad as the team reminisces the good old days when they led Ghana to win the Africa Cup. Present at the ceremony were some of the players. During the anniversary celebrations, the company presented refrigerators to each of the players. A member of the AFCON winning squad, Reverend Osei Kofi, said thank you to the company.
Na nyamishra abamu ama nyamube bia no ade a damo akoma so afie we 2016 mo pese mo ye no nyame enyamamo.
The CEO of Prolux Ghana, Mr. Prosper Appiah, said they were touched by the plight of the squad.
If you look at their performance and the caliber of people that they are, I will not say the money that we donated was even gangantuan. In fact, their effort is priceless. We cannot actually award them, but by way of also showing our appreciation for how far they have brought the country, we decided to, give what we could, in that perspective.
The financial package adds to the tall list of others presented to the squad by some individuals and corporate entities. Former Arsenal defender Sol Campbell, together with Ghanaian-born Netherlands player George Boateng and Stephen Appiah, organized a day's football clinic for school children at the Wembley Park at Kotobabi. School children from the Kotobabi cluster of schools on Tuesday benefited from a one-day football clinic by 3 of the world's best players: Arsenal stalwart defender Sol Campbell, Ghana's peace ambassador for the general elections in November Stephen Appiah, and Ghanaian-born Netherlands player George Boateng. They were thinking through some drills in the game. After some hours of play, the children were presented with some tokens. The three footballers shared their thoughts with the media.
You want to get better, you want to get faster, you want to defend or be a goalkeeper, whatever you want to do in football. But it's all about practice, applying yourself, and making sure you still respect everybody. And on top of that, continue your schoolwork.
School calling here, who are more important to say will be able to your footballer. Who was all your good footballer, who here Nyansa. Who in Nyansa want to mean a good footballer. Football, and fair cook on Kwana.
With discipline, they can wash and wash. There was no fan in your coach say by you. Nebua me to coach cashing, Femo A, Cafe B.
Earlier, the trio paid a courtesy call on former President Jerry John Rawlings at his residence in Accra before addressing a press conference at Adidas House at the airport residential area. Primeval Media organized 2 matches in Kumasi and Accra on June 8 and 10 between a World Select side and Kumasi Asante Kotoko at the Barbara Sports Stadium and the Black Stars at the Accra Sports Stadium. That's all for sports.
Hello, good evening. Time for some arts news. My name is Valerie Danso. A get-together involving members of the creative industry, including filmmakers and the tourism minister, Mrs. Elizabeth Ofosue-Jari, has taken place in Kumasi. The event offered a platform to share ideas on how to move the creative industry forward.
The get-together was organized by the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts. It served as a common platform for practitioners and policymakers to interact on how to advance the cause of the creative industry. The sector minister, Mrs. Elizabeth Ofosue-Jari, reiterated the huge contribution that tourism, culture and the arts play in the country's economy. She appealed to players in the film industry to unite and portray the rich Ghanaian culture in their movies. She also touched on the film bill.
We have been able to put together the Creative Arts Bill. Very soon we'll come to Kumasi for sensitization. After all the sensitization processes that we put same before Cabinet and then Parliament. The President has also announced the 1 million cedis grant for the creative arts industry. 2016, we're going to disburse a further 1 million Ghana cedis for the benefit of the creative arts industry. We are opening the Accra Vista Information Center this year. His Excellency will open this center before June. That center is going to house the Creative Arts Secretariat.
The minister promised that 2016 is going to be an eventful year for the industry.
There are increasing calls for a boycott of this year's Academy Awards over the all-white list of acting. That's all in this segment. Have a good evening.
Thanks for keeping company with us.
Have a good evening.